Today we're going to read from chapter 8, titled, It's Easy, Edna, It's Downhill All the Way. Snow came early that fall of 1946, and we were eager to ski Arapahoe, only 5 miles drive up the mountain. We knew we would miss skiing at Climax, and we'd miss our good friends, the Gorsuch family. But 35 miles one way each weekend, and only weekends, against being able to ski every day was an exciting trade-off. Max, with the help of a Dillon mechanic, Andy Rascola, had hauled up an old Ford motor engine for the rope tow. Max tells about it. It overheated constantly at that altitude, so we rigged up a big oil drum in place of the radiator for cooling. Earl was running the tow and using snow to cool the motor. He had started shoveling into the drum the more than 4 feet of snow that was within reach. About 3 weeks later, during which there had been a thaw, I returned from a trip back east. I had gone there to round up a few more stockholders for Arapahoe. To my astonishment, there was about an acre of grass showing around that monster. I told Earl, we may not have enough snow to ski on, but it looks like you found enough to keep the tow motor running. We were all set. What a great winter this promised to be. Electricity had been brought into our old cabin at Ski Tip just before Christmas, and we also had a phone. It was the only phone except the one down at Dimp's, so it was in great use. Not having one up at Arapahoe yet meant that a lot of the immediate business was still being conducted in our kitchen. Sometimes I worried about not being able to pay the phone bill. However, it was for a good cause, so we forgot about it. Over a cup of coffee with some friends in our kitchen after a good day of skiing, someone said, "What we need is a ski club. There are lots of kids in this valley, at Breckenridge, Dillon, and Frisco, who don't know how to ski. Steamboat Springs has had a club for years, and have a winter carnival every February. Also, Winter Park has kids coming up from Denver by train every weekend." Yes, I chimed in, and even Climax has a ski club for youngsters and adults. Anyone from that mining town can join. And they have a racing program too. Jack and Zella Gorsuch work not only with their own children, but they give hours of their time to the other kids too. Max said, "I won't be surprised if one day we'll see some of those kids in the Olympics." It was decided that I should phone all the local people we knew who might be interested. We met at the two-room schoolhouse in Dillon. A few parents and a number of youngsters came. "What should we call our ski club?" someone asked. Since most of the skiing would be up at Arapahoe, it was decided that it would be the Arapahoe Basin Ski Club. And our logo, of course we had to have a ski patch for our parkas, could be the ABC Ski Club. Someone wanted to know, what does a ski club do? Well, this ski club's real purpose will be to help all the local youngsters to learn to ski. And there'll be those who want to learn to race. We'll have to find someone to teach ski racing too. One parent spoke up, "There's the old Dillon jumping hill just north of town. We could use that as a beginner's slope if everyone would be willing to help cut the brush that's grown up on the landing hill. Also, the kids could ski there after school, since getting up to Arapahoe would take too long for just 1 or 2 hours they'd have before dark." Everyone decided this was a darn good suggestion. Anyone who could should show up and help the kids get the hill in shape. News soon got around, and on my next trip to the grocery store, I was surrounded by old timers. We hear you're going to rebuild the old Dillon slide. Well, we might be doing some jumping, I answered, but most of the skiing will be slalom. Why, that slide is famous, said one old timer. Back in 1920, the world record was set on that jump by a young Norwegian, Anders Hagen. He jumped 214 feet, by gum. Ain't nobody seen such skiing since. Being Norwegian myself, I was pretty pleased to hear of all these jumpers. Hagen, Hansen, Halsen, Peter Prestrud, and Thor Groswald. I met Peter Prestrud a few years later and heard him tell of the early days of jumping. He said, why, we wouldn't think a thing of skiing over Ute Pass to Hot Sulphur Springs on Sunday to yump at a competition there. For our prize, we'd get used to Hershey chocolate bar. All day we would yumping and climbing up each time. Then we'd ski all the way back to Dillon on our 8-foot yumping skis. In early fall, there wasn't enough snow at the bottom of the landing hill, so at the run out of the yump, we pile up disused hay. Smell didn't bother us none. Listening to him tell all about the jumping, I couldn't help thinking that they were giants in those days. With our 4 and 5-year-olds tagging along, Edna and I would climb up and down the landing hill, cutting the brush. We would pack what snow there was this early in December, so when more snow came, we'd have a good base. As soon as school was out, enthusiastic kids would join us. Some had the best of equipment, such as the children of the Public Service Company employees and ranchers. Their fathers would help since they had to drive in many miles anyway to pick up their children from school. My offspring, one father said, looking up at the takeoff of the old jump above us, can't wait to spring off that thing. It made me think, well, why not? Would it be possible to rebuild the jump? There were more important things just then, though. Some of the eager children arrived with poor equipment. One youngster I remember especially had no ski poles, no hat or mittens, and an ill-fitting light jacket. It was cold on this north-facing slope. The sun dropped behind the hill even before school was out. His twisted 7-foot wooden skis only had toe straps. He had probably found them in an old barn near Dillon. Knowing the boy's mother and knowing where I'd find her, I parked my car in front of the old Dillon Inn and went in. Being a bit overstuffed in the wrong places, she not only draped over the bar stool, but over the bar as well. Look here, I said as I approached her. How about getting that boy of yours some decent ski equipment? He's too little for those long skis, and he really needs a warm jacket, mittens, and something to keep his ears from freezing. Gee, Edna, I sure want to. She spun around on the bar stool to face me, careful not to spill any of the bourbon in the glass she was holding. Soon as I get a little money ahead, I'll get him what he needs. That darn ADC don't pay half enough to keep a soul alive. It's hopeless, I thought as I left the inn. Wonder what she meant by the ADC. Little did I realize that in less than 2 years, I would not only know, but would be typing the checks. The Aid to Dependent Children program to which she referred certainly wasn't much help for her child. We used long willow sticks for slalom poles and climbed, packed, and practiced along with the school kids. Standing in the starting gate, with the late afternoon sun just touching the peaks of to the east, I looked down the hill into the darkening valley with the lights of Dillon near already turned on. My thoughts reached back to my first race almost 10 years before in March of 1938. We'll learn more about that race when we come back later.